Shares of Nvidia outperforming today in a red tape after the U.S. reportedly approved the sale of several $1 billion worth of its chips to the UAE. For today's Tech Check, our Christina Partsenevelos has more on how those chips might supercharge the Gulf states' AI ambitions. Hey, KP.
And it all has to do with power. So let's start with the U.S. possibly just approving billions of dollars in Nvidia chip exports to the UAE under an agreement signed in May. And this is according to Bloomberg. Those chips in particular will power a massive wave of data center construction. And the timing matters because of what's happening here at home. Data centers already account for over 4% of U.S. electricity consumption, and that could triple by 2028. In Washington, D.C., for example, residential bills jumped $21 per month starting just in June, with half of that increase driven by data center demand. A single AI data center can consume as much power as 80,000 American households. The UAE, though, doesn't have that problem. Running cutting-edge AI models takes staggering amounts of electricity. The cheaper your energy, the cheaper your intelligence. Business electricity in the UAE costs about 11 cents per kilowatt, roughly 30% cheaper than the U.S. average. The country runs on cheap natural gas and nuclear power. Morgan Stanley calls the UAE, quote, an AI leader in the making, with its Energy Strategy 2050 pushing massive solar investments alongside AI infrastructure. The UAE is also investing $1.5 billion. They had a big announcement not too long ago, in new data center capacity by 2027. Under the U.S.-UAE agreement, this is the United Arab Emirates, by the way, American hyperscalers will operate a massive 5-gigawatt AI campus over there with cutting-edge Nvidia chips and some of the world's cheapest power. The UAE is essentially positioning itself as the Middle East's AI hub. And that's why this AI race isn't just about who trains the smartest model. It's about who can afford to keep it running, guys.
And I guess who can build it as well. Is it all American companies? I mean, are there Chinese alternatives that they can turn to, or is this American data centers being built across the world, including the Middle East?
There are a lot of benchmarks, but if you're going for like total cost of ownership and just the power that these chips provide, you would probably be geared towards American companies like Nvidia as number one, AMD, and to a certain extent some of the hyperscalers. But China is catching up, especially when you talk about open source models, and that is a concern that even Jensen Huang raised on our airways just yesterday, that depending on where you are in building the data center infrastructure, China can compete quite well. And then I didn't even mention it, we talked about the UAE, but China does really well with power, right? They don't seem to have constraints like we do here in the United States. So that's another factor for them to keep climbing up when power is not a constraint.
Yeah, you got to have the chips. You got to have the energy as well, as you point out, and some of the financing. That's the other gating issue. Really fascinating look at the other part of the world in the Middle East. Christina Partsenevelos.